And we are live. It is Memorial Day, and for everyone out there who has lost someone or knows someone who has been lost defending our freedom, my gratitude goes out to you guys and to the people that made the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom. I am in my home office today, so the lighting isn't that great, but that's fine. The reason why I'm here is because my carbon monoxide detector decided to give a bunch of faults in my alarm system, which I had to chase down a bunch of gremlins until I got it all fixed. But I am fixed, so I didn't get into the studio. But once again, that is life sometimes. But today I am going to be talking to Mom at Arms, somebody who runs Jill McDaniel, who runs Mom at Arms, and also is a member of the DC Project Director for Virginia. My name is John Crump. I am the State Director for Gun Owners of America, and I am a writer for ammoland.com, and yeah, that's it. Well, without further ado, I want to bring in Jill McDaniel. And how are you doing tonight? Sorry for all the technical stuff.
That's okay. That's perfectly fine. I understand 100%. But I'm doing well. I hope you are.
I am doing good. Did you have a good Memorial Day?
Yes, it has been a busy day, but it's been a good one. It's been nice to kind of sit back and hang out with the family. Expected to work from home a little bit today, but it ended up just me, my kid, and my husband, and doing all the family stuff and buying new appliances and all that jive.
Yeah, my wife decided we're going to sell our Pathfinder because it's just an extra car. So we ended up cleaning it all day, and I cleaned my other cars and stuff like that. So it was car wash day and playing with the kids and doing a little bit of a cookout. It looks like all my neighbors had parties, though, which is kind of interesting because they all have that, safe at home signs up, but yet they have parties.
Yeah.
So it's, what is it?
Yeah.
Safe at home, or are you having parties?
That are like, yeah.
Like which one? Okay, so let's go ahead and get into who you are. Your name is Jill McDaniel, of course. Everyone can see that on the screen. And you run Mom at Arms. What is Mom at Arms?
Mom at Arms is a pro-gun, gun rights sleuth site now. It started off as a blog of me just kind of sharing my experiences as a mom and a gun owner and growing up around firearms. And then it turned into, I guess, a cool thing on social media. And I had a bunch of people reach out to me and they wanted to share their stories, and it just built upon that. It just got bigger. And now we kind of go behind and look into some corruption behind gun control groups.
All right. I'm just checking one thing out. Yeah, cool. I didn't think we were rolling live, but we are, so that's good. Yeah. How long have you been doing that?
Christmas of 2018. So going on, with how the year has gone by so fast, well, how they go by fast anyway nowadays, almost 2 years. So it's kind of wild. It still feels like yesterday. So it's a process though.
Okay, now you are a member of the DC Project. I've had Cheryl Todd on from DC Project and Di Muller on as well, and some other women from the DC Project. But for people who don't know what the DC Project is, can you give us a little breakdown of the DC Project?
Yeah. The DC Project is a nonpartisan, and it's a nonpartisan initiative of women coming together to educate the masses pretty much on gun rights. And we look to help put in place more so an educational type of aspect rather than a legislative one. And we're trying to get gun owners, especially women, and new gun owners, to come out and kind of get educated on what gun rights are and what they mean to us as women, and just kind of breaking the narrative as far as what the gun control groups in America portray of gun owners out throughout the nation. So we're building up, and it's amazing to watch. People like we're talking about Diana, and then Cheryl Todd, and there's a ton of them. I mean, Holly Sullivan. Just amazing women that are
on the show too. I've had
a lot. It's amazing. These women, like, I'm not a girl by any means. I grew up down here in Southern Virginia, had an older brother. I have a younger sister, but we were, backwoods kids and of dirt and toys and hand-me-downs and everything else. So it's kind of neat to come together with other women that have this type of aspect, this not really a belief system, but how just this logic. So it's kind of cool.
How'd you get involved with
the
DC project?
Well, through Mom at Arms, I have become affiliated with many, many awesome women, Mary Callison and Rebecca Schmo, who are DC Project leaders, as well as they head up the 1 Million Moms Against Gun Control. I joined forces with them, and I run the East Coast region for that. And then I met the awesome Rhonda Azell. If you are, I'm pretty sure you know who Rhonda is, who Azell versus Chicago, where she went up against the machine and won. As far as getting gun ranges in place, and the abilities for people in Chicago as well as Illinois, throughout Illinois, to have some kind of means to get to a firearm if they need it. So, or the training especially.
Yeah.
And Rhonda actually asked me, she was like, you need to sign up for the DC Project. And I was like, all right, I'll see what's going on with that. It's like, I need to add something else to my plate. But I did.
Yeah. It is a very, very good, it's a very, very good cause. And if anybody out there wants to check it out, you can just go to dcproject.info, which is actually up on the screen right now. You should be able to see that little banner. But yeah, it's a very good cause. A lot of the women involved are friends of the show. I've had Cheryl Todd on, I've had Holly on, I've had Di on a few different times. And
amazing women. They're mentors to me, because I'm not as pro-gun. I'm pro-gun as in the way my logic, but as far as professionalism, they're professionals in this field, and I'm just this down-home girl that came into the mix. So it's kind of neat to meet them, and it's awe-inspiring to hear their stories and hear the stories of many of the women throughout the organization.
Okay. It looks like my Restream chats aren't working. So if you're saying stuff and I miss it, that's fine. Restream or StreamYard, I don't know if it's Restream or StreamYard, but it's supposed to show all my chats on the little side window. For some reason, it is not. I don't see any. And I was like, that's kind of unusual. So making sure I was broadcasting everywhere and there's comments. So if I don't see your comments, that's fine. I am sorry about that. Okay, so you got involved with the DC Project. You met Di and all those great people, and you run this channel, which I'm going to put up your website right there. I checked it out. It's pretty cool. mom-at-arms.com, which is a great channel. It's a great website. You are also in Virginia, which is my home state. So, of course, I'm going to pick your brain a little bit about what you think about gun stuff going on in Virginia. After November, what was your initial thought after the election and all these anti-gun people won?
WTF. That was what I thought. I mean, I think I was well aware that the gun control groups were sweeping the nation. I was aware that Michael Bloomberg, who backs Everytown for gun safety, prior to that, it was Mayors Against Illegal Guns, and then he backed merged and now backs Demand Action, and I knew that they were sweeping the nation, but then all of a sudden, after the November election, I was just like, oh my gosh, what have we done? I was like, maybe, I'm born and raised here. This is firearms are a way of life for Virginians. I mean, especially in my neck of the woods. So watching that happen was, it was a kick in the gut. It really was.
Yeah, I live in Northern Virginia, which is the cesspool of Virginia, I guess you can say. So I'm sorry. But like Bloomberg did dump a lot of money into Virginia to try to win Virginia. If you watch Rocky Mountain High, talks about it.
Yeah, it was a sneak attack by him. I mean, after all this stuff with, Ralph Northam and the blackface and, many groups, not just right wingers, but left wingers coming out asking for his resignation because he wasn't owning up to any of the controversy, or if he was avoiding much of it. And then all of a sudden it was just like that went away. And then we were back into a gun control frenzy in Virginia. And it's like I tell people all the time that ask me about, pretty much questions along the same line. It's like, this was the state that built the rest of them, and we used gun. I mean, our forefathers used gun to do it. So now here we are, and we have these, for lack of better words, tyrants coming through the nation. I mean, with their big money and their gun control laws, and we're just kind of, we have a hard fight here in Virginia. I mean, we really do.
Yeah, we have a dead tyrant on our flag, and yet they want to be tyrannical. Mm-hmm. It surprises me. Were you at law today?
Yes. I love that. That was my first lobby day. I loved it. It was such an awesome experience. Lots of camaraderie. I mean, I've never met that many people. And when you get there, it's like you see all this patriotism, and I say patriotism along the lines of actual patriot, liberty loving people, not necessarily political aspects, even though some people did politicize it. But it was just, it was so cold out there, but you totally forgot about you were freezing to death and your hands are, like stuck in your pockets. People were just amazing. I mean, it was just so many people from all over the country, and different stories, different walks of life, different backgrounds. I believe there was this one gentleman that I met who was there for, he was part of a veterans movement, and he was from Texas. There was another lady and her husband had traveled from Oregon. I mean, it's just so cool to meet all of these people, and you forget that firearms were even involved after. You knew your purpose there, but you were there to meet Americans. It was just awesome.
Yeah,
I wish we could do it again, before January.
Yeah,
we need to have that same.
There were some other gun rallies that were supposed to be taking place, but with the whole pandemic thing, I think a lot of them have gotten canceled. My event got canceled in April because of Corona. It kind of sucked. The year of planning just to go down the drain. But what can you do? Yeah. What can you do? We're talking about talking about Texas, there was a few buses that came from Texas. There's some buses that came from Connecticut as well, with just full of people. New Jersey, there were a couple buses from New Jersey that came down. It was a great event, and everyone was so nice. There was no violence. They pushed this narrative of like violence were going to happen, and there was none at all.
None. I think I tell people I tell people my story like the day before I was scared to death. I mean, I work now, through Mom at Arms at exposing gun control groups propaganda and all that good stuff. And then I fell for almost fell for a lot of the fear mongering that we were getting about don't go, they're gonna, certain groups are gonna come after you, it's a setup. And I was like, it was to the point where I was trying my best to figure out an excuse not to go, but I sucked it up. I was like, you know what? No, because that's just me falling into the same thing that, these groups want us to do. If I go, I go. I mean, and if something happens, the groups that I went with had plans and we had all had each other's backs. So that was amazing to me, but it's very fortunate and awesome that we didn't have to put those plans into play. But we had a good time. It was like going to a fair, like a carnival, like a festival or of some sort. I mean, it was just fascinating. There were children there. I even said to my lobby day buddy, I was like, I wish I brought my kid. I mean, he was only 3. I mean, yeah, he just turned 3 at the time. And I was like, man, this would be so cool for him. He would just, I mean, there were kids younger than him there. I mean, it was just amazing. It's just so neat. I wish I wish the media didn't portray it as something that it wasn't. It was actually something that was just amazing. It was unification of many, many people, many walks of life coming together for one cause. And it was brilliant. It was brilliant and put together fantastically. I mean, it was great.
Yeah, the lobby day in Virginia was something that I've never seen before. I've been to a lot of lobby days, and it's usually like a couple hundred people at most. This was like thousands and thousands of people, and the streets were totally full. The Capitol was totally surrounded, and for all the discussion of all this violence that was going to happen, there wasn't any. And in fact, that was probably the safest place in the country at that day.
It was. That's what I thought when I was there. I was like, when we park the bus and we get off the bus, of course we see like people walking. It was early and cold, and you see lines of people going to this to the Capitol building. But it was just, I mean, when you got around the corner and you saw everyone else that was there already, it was mind-boggling. I was blown away. I was like, I have not been around this many people ever in my entire life, and it was just so cool to see. And I wish that there was, I mean, even though it was an open invite to everyone throughout the country, I mean, I just wish that these gun grabbing politicians as well as these groups could have seen it firsthand. Because from what I understand, many of the Virginia pro-gun control leaders were not even around. And that saddened me the most when you have people like Amanda Chase and Nick Freitas and his wife and, and all these other pro-gun leaders just walking out in the crowd, just saying, hey, how you doing? It's great to have you here. I'm so glad to hear, you're here and you're putting your voice to work. And it was amazing. That was the depressing part, was not having the gun control leaders there to actually feel that atmosphere.
Yeah, Nick Freitas actually One of the cool things that he did is he actually went out into the crowd and gave a speech. It's on my YouTube channel, so if anybody wants to watch it, just head over there. You can watch his speech. It was amazing. He gave a speech up on stage, but he also went out to the people and he said, "I'm going out to the people because I want." It looks like comments are starting to come through now. Hey, Kathleen out there. Because he wanted to reach out to the people and be with the people and to show that he wasn't afraid. Lobby Day did make a difference. Lobby Day was the reason why the assault weapons ban or assault firearms ban, I guess, it did not pass. If you look to Chap Peterson, he said it was because of Lobby Day that made a lot of them rethink their stance.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was a great day.
That to me was it, and it solidified a lot of the things that I have said my entire life, even though I've been more public and with my my experiences and getting into this activism. I grew up around firearms. I used to tell everybody that if me growing up in the area that I did where firearms were pretty much everywhere all the time. I mean, I can remember going to high school and the guys had them, in their trucks, gun racks and stuff like that. I tell these gun control people, especially the younger ones, if that's the case, then I should not be here right now. I mean, like if something was going to pop off, as they say, then I wouldn't be here trying my best to get a different viewpoint across rather than what they have been so in I've brainwashed is the only word that I can come up with. But that's pretty much it now. So but Lobby Day, I'm glad that we broke the narrative with the assault weapons ban, and that's fantastic. I mean, if we can do that, we can continue to do. I mean, we can really make a big difference in all these others that they're pushing.
Yeah, I had a very bad signal on Lobby Day. I am going to play what we recorded. Black Swan Media recorded there of Nick Freitas, and I just want to get your opinion on what he was saying. All right, here we go.
Again, I just want to come out here because I realize it's very difficult getting in there. And obviously, I realize that some of you probably don't want to try to get in there because some of my fellow colleagues in there decided to make you choose between lobbying your representatives or having the means to defend yourself. And you should never have to make that decision. You should be able to lobby your representatives and be able to defend yourself at the same time. And we know that you can because for the last several years, the last 4 years I've been in the General Assembly. On Lobby Day, you can come into the General Assembly building, and we trusted law-abiding citizens to be able to defend themselves. And that's what's under assault right now. And I'm getting really, really tired of hearing some of my Democrat colleagues say that this is about safety. If it was really about safety, then explain something to me. How do you simultaneously carry legislation to make it harder for a law-abiding citizen to own a firearm and also carry legislation for early release for violent criminals back into the same communities you've now disarmed? Wow. Right? This is not about safety. This is about control. Yes. This is about not trusting free people. And I will tell you this. I did 2 combat tours over in Iraq. I've seen what happens to a disarmed populace. One of the most fascinating things to me was when I was over in my first tour over there, we were actually going around making sure the villagers could get guns back so they could actually defend themselves. If you really want to know what the turnaround was over there, it wasn't just a surge of American troops. It was finally equipping Iraqi people to be able to defend themselves. And that's what this is about. And every single time we talk about the Second Amendment being used, not only to be able to defend yourself, but also as a check against oppressive government, they always look at us, they roll their eyes at us, they call us extremists, they call us crazies. And I like to remind them that it wasn't that long ago, and this is especially important on today, because today is Martin Luther King Day. Because Martin Luther King lived in a country under Jim Crow laws where the government actively worked to oppress people in this country, actively worked to keep them from being able to have their Second Amendment rights to protect themselves. So it wasn't that long ago, even in this country, where bad legislators attempted to oppress free people, and the Second Amendment was oftentimes the only thing that stood in between them and those that would harm them. And that's why we're here today. Because there's been some members of the press that have tried to say that this is a white nationalist rally. Well, they actually had the courage to come down here and talk to people and actually get to know people and get to understand the reasoning. What they would find is people here, all races, all creeds, all dedicated to the idea that every single law-abiding citizen has a God-given right to be able to defend themselves. And that right does not emanate from that building. The people in that building have a sworn duty to protect that right. So thank you very much for being here. Thank you for standing in the cold, standing in the line, so that your voices could be heard. You have done today what has been done at over 100 rallies all over the Commonwealth of Virginia. You have peacefully assembled to petition your government for a redress of grievances and to let them know that we are citizens, not subjects. So thank you very much for everything you've done. Thank you.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
really, reliving it. It was.
I agree. This is Lobby Day. This is Virginia's Lobby Day. I like it. He said instead of saying stay safe, you're going to say stay free. Yeah, I mean, yeah. What do you? A couple of different points I want to hit on that he mentioned. He mentioned the narrative, how they were trying to put trying to say it was a white nationalist rally. When I went there, I saw gun owners of every walk of life. I even saw a rainbow flag with it was like a rainbow flag, Gadsden flag combination.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even see any Confederate flags or anything like that. But
I didn't see them.
A British newspaper after the rally ran an article that said white nationalist rally defeats assault weapons ban in Virginia, which I thought was the most disingenuous thing in the world. And if you read the article, it didn't mention that. Being a journalist myself, I know I don't write my headlines, and I'm not trying to put it on the writer of the article, because the article was very fair. But whoever writes the headlines, I would think of the Telegraph, which is a British newspaper. Whoever writes the Telegraph, writes the headlines for the Telegraph, the copy editor, is a jackass for putting that title on there.
Yeah.
And slandering you and slandering me.
I'm not a white nationalist. If politically, I'm more independent in my beliefs. I've tried to explain many times to people I come from. I graduated high school in 2001, so from that in between era of Bush and Obama. And after 9/11, many like me, just coming out of high school, with Obama was the thing, and I mean, so I don't know how that puts me as, especially, I guess you would consider me a centrist to a point when it comes down to political ideals, that I'm not a nationalist. Yeah. I'm white. I mean, but I'm not a nationalist. But when going there, I met a lot of individuals. I met a gentleman from Pakistan, and then I met another gentleman. He was Asian American, and he was I want to say a second generation Asian American. His great grandparents came here, and that's he said flat out, like, I'm here because I don't want my rights to be infringed on. He was like, I don't want to go back to living where my family did, my ancestors are from, because those are the laws there are not protecting the people, it's protecting the government. And that to me is like, I mean, you think about it in terms of being a parent or someone, from that has escaped that type of lifestyle prior. I mean, it's just, I mean, you would have met people with a fantastic story to change your mind if you are pro gun control and you came to the lobby day back in January. I mean, you would have had your mind changed if you had just taken the time to listen to many of them. I mean, it was just amazing, the stories. So I wish on lobby day as well. I actually in that group, I was standing not too far in that group listening to Nick, but I was trying my best to get video recordings, and I guess they had the cell blockers out and all that good stuff, and I just couldn't pick up anything. I couldn't do any lives or anything like that, so it was kind of wonky. So I just stood there in amazement.
I don't think it was cell blockers. I think it was just overloaded. Too many people streaming.
Really?
They make these devices that are like $20,000 that connect to like 6 or 7 different wireless networks and can stream over all of them and combine into one stream. And those ran fine, but that's because they were bouncing off like 6 or 7 different carriers. If you had a single carrier, that you were kind of screwed. But yeah, it was an awesome day. Nick is a good guy. He brings up a lot of good points, and how the power actually comes from the people. It doesn't come from the government. We give the government power.
Exactly.
And it's ours to give the government power and to take the power away. One thing I said before, when they were trying to vote on the bill, the assault weapons bill, I said that I was not going to obey. And I stated very clearly that I wasn't going to obey. And a lot of people did. In fact, 96% of Virginia declared themselves a Second Amendment sanctuary. So they would have a hard time trying to track everyone down. Are you familiar with Sheriff Jenkins of Culpeper?
Yes, he's too legit to quit.
I love
he
Sheriff
is. I've never met him, but I have listened to his. My father was law enforcement. He was Virginia law enforcement, so I kind of have a place in my heart for all law enforcement, but Sheriff Jenkins is probably the most commendable of all right now for speaking the way he has about this. Is he's elected. He was not given this power because he is in any position. He wants to be in any position to force people to do against their own will. But blatantly saying that he would deputize thousands of his constituents and the residents in his area to get the message across. I took him seriously. He's not backtracked on that either. He's still, from more present day interviews, and stuff like that, he's like, I'll do it. To me, that's just awesome. So that's the philosophy that I was raised, being the daughter of law enforcement. So that they're there to serve and protect the people, not the government. So that's Sheriff Jenkins is mad respect for him.
Yeah.
Love that guy.
Sheriff Jenkins is good. Out of Arkansas, you have Sheriff Chris Brown, and these are sheriffs that take their oath to the Constitution very seriously. It actually cost them a 3% raise because the legislature voted down their raise for not only them, but their deputies, because they said they weren't going to enforce gun control law. And that was the reason why they voted it down. And they are very open about the reason why they voted it down is because of that. In fact, they want to pass a new law that says that if they won't enforce gun control law, that they have to resign, which is very ridiculous and also, I think, dangerous.
I think so. I think that puts us in a position, and especially like you were talking about within, the Second Amendment sanctuaries, not just necessarily the aspect of an uprising. And I don't want to say that as in this whole, like violent or anything like that, but I have always thought that if something, especially if something like this happened in the state of Virginia, just because of the traditions and the history we have here, that you would see a lot of those communities and the that back these sheriffs and stuff like that kind of break away from their communities. I know that might seem a little far-fetched, but when you're looking at a map of gun Second Amendment sanctuaries, it's pretty much how things are going along. We're telling Richmond, you can kiss our grits, pretty much. So it's not too far-fetched when you look at it in that kind of light.
Besides where I live at. Besides where I live at. We're not a Second Amendment sanctuary.
I really feel sorry for you.
Yeah. Our only elected official is a Republican in my county, besides like a couple board of directors, but is the sheriff. And the thing with the sheriff is the county wants to get rid of the sheriff's department and replace it with a police department that will report directly to them and not to the people, which I think is ridiculous. It's like, okay, he won 94% of the vote, so let's go ahead and just eliminate that department. He won 94% of the vote because he's doing something right. No one vote with Democrats and Republicans.
And that's pretty much, we had down here, we have a police department I'm down here in Pittsylvania County, and in the Danville city, of course, has a police department and a sheriff's department. So those two, the chief of police here as the sheriff, both phenomenal men. I mean, they're fantastic, and they've really done a lot for the city, as well as pushing into our county area, which is also ran by another sheriff who's just great. I mean, they're just awesome guys. But I know that they're getting, especially in Danville City, I know that they're getting a lot of pushback from city council. Danville City was once labeled Little Chicago of the East. So it was, so I can, I'm now, this whole gun control, era, I'm seeing why. And so it's, but I can see why the city councils, they lose money if they don't stay in line with Northrum. They lose money, and that it's a trickle down effect. And now they're making the sheriffs and some police chiefs the criminal in all of it, because they're making them the bad guy, even though they're trying their best to work with the people, which they're put in their positions to do. So
yeah, it is kind of ridiculous. I don't like Northam because he's kind of a hypocrite. He's about to pass a mask law, which, if you believe in masks or whatever, that's not for me to say. The one thing that it is for me to say is, if you want to pass a mask law, then you should, wear a mask. if you want other people to do it.
Yeah, that's going to backfire on him. And honestly, if I was joking with a friend the other day, not the other day, when it happened, right after the headlines hit, that he went to Virginia Beach and schmoozed with all the the beachgoers without a mask on, and everybody. And then he gave the the news interview saying that, oh, we're practicing 6 feet, 6 feet apart, social distancing. And then all of these citizen journalists, as I call them, they were taking pictures left and right. And here he is, all hugged up on somebody, taking selfies. Exactly. I mean, he is such a prick. And I mean, I have never in my life and wants to stand behind, I'm the only doctor within our, whatever. I'm just I have never in my life, and I come, my other side of my family, other than law enforcement, are all medical professionals. And I'm looking at this guy, I'm like, well, you are not a well man. You are definitely not well.
Yeah, my wife.
That's the nicest.
Yeah, my wife is a doctor, and she was like, "What is he doing? If he's gonna push this."
Wow. I mean, if he comes out tomorrow at 2 p.m. and says that we all have to wear masks, because I heard just before I got on here, a friend of mine locally, one of the grocery stores, says that they're going to kick people out if we don't have masks on going in. And I'm like, this is not happening. I'm sorry. I got out of a grocery store yesterday, and a lady was walking around talking on a telephone with the mask pulled down around her chin. She walked in with it on her face, but starts talking on the telephone with it around her chin. And as I'm loading, an hour later, when my kid and I leave, and she's loading up her trunk when we are, that's when she takes it and starts to put it back before she gets into her vehicle. And I'm like, if you're not going to even wear your mask correctly, what's the point? I mean, it's just, people don't understand. They're not effective completely unless they've been fitted to you personally by, a professional organization, like 3M themselves, or, these little dust masks and stuff like that you pick up from, 3M, even on the general public fact sheet, will tell you this. The people that make the masks will tell you they are not effective unless they have been physically fitted to your face, and done in that aspect, like many medical professionals have done. I mean, it's just,
yeah.
That gets me all to pieces. I'm like,
I
crazy.
I take the COVID-19 seriously. I do know one person who's died from it. I know another person whose kid was on a ventilator because of it. But forcing people to do something against their will is not the way to go. What I told someone is there isn't a COVID-19 clause in the Constitution.
Right. That's exactly right. I believe in it. Like I said, I come from a family of, medical professionals. That was not my deal. I didn't go that route in life. And my child also, I mean, when he was born, he was told, we were told that because of a digestive condition that he had, that he might suffer from childhood asthma and stuff like that. So we have to be very, very cautious as well. But I'm not going to, for one, I'm not going to put a mask on my child's face who's 3. I mean, you're not supposed to do that to children anyway. But from what I'm seeing about some guidelines for preschools and schools to open up, they want kids to wear a mask for almost 8 hours. That's ridiculous. I think
what the guidelines actually said. This is ridiculous. The guy read this guideline. They're supposed to wear a mask to and from school, but once they get to school, they're supposed to remove the mask. So what's the point of the mask? What's the point of the mask?
Wait, I thought I can understand on buses and stuff like that. I mean, because I'm those people that I socially distance anyway. I've been doing that for years. I'm a social introvert. I guess that's the best way to put it. I don't like to be around a lot of people. And I like to stay home, but as far as being told that I'm going to do something because of government regulations and stuff that I didn't even vote on, sorry, I'm not doing it, because I have the wits about me and the respect for other people enough not to get in their personal space anyway. I wash my hands, I don't cough on people. I worked in restaurants for years. I know about the snot pocket, where we called it the snot pocket, which is the inner part of your elbow when you sneeze or cough, or either go to the restroom. And even though I just scratched my nose, I know that after this interview, I'm going to wash my hands and blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's just, it's common knowledge. It's common sense. And we shouldn't have to be, if anything, it's probably taught more people to look after their own personal hygiene. But, when you're in a position where, you're living an everyday life that even I try not to get it because I don't want to offend anyone by any means when it comes down to their physical health and stuff. Because I know that there are a lot of sick people out there with underlying conditions that are so easily susceptible. But when I'm living life freely and not hurting anyone already, I mean, I have to be a little outspoken about it.
Well, I suffer from an anxiety disorder and also OCD, so I wash my hands 100%, like 100 times a day, not 100%, like 100 times a day. And I don't like crowds, and I stay away from people. So somebody asked me, they're like, how does this change your life? I'm like, well, actually, everyone else is acting like me now, not the other way around. So
yeah.
And also, I'm gonna get a ninja
for
mask.
real. Yeah, that would be fun.
When they say,
that was the way. If that was the way that if everyone was allowed to wear ninja masks, or either mandated to wear ninja masks, I'd be okay with it.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Ninjas are cool.
All those old samurai masks, that look like the demon faces.
Yeah. My son has a Transformers mask that I was tempted to wear not too long ago.
You'd be like, what? But yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't like rights being violated. That's one reason why I am currently suing Northam over the range shutdown. No problem. Yeah, our case gets held on June 8th, and the ranges are probably going to be back open by then. Like, that wasn't done. An emergency hearing June 8th, like 4 weeks out. It's like, come on. I was also, my organization, Gun Owners of America, was involved in the Lynchburg case as well. But this isn't this one's like a personal lawsuit though.
Good.
Yeah, I got arranged to actually cover all the costs. Silver Eagle Group is covering all the costs, which is awesome of them. Got to give them a big shout out.
That is
because lawsuits are expensive.
Yes, definitely. And we're not gun rights activists don't have the Bloom bucks. We don't those. So I mean, it's really sad that we're on the losing end as far as folks fighting for everyone's rights, not limiting everyone's rights. We are fighting to keep everyone's rights, and Bloomberg and Moms Demand Action and Everytown and Giffords and all these others, they're fighting to limit rights. And people need to wake up to that, that realization that if it's this easy to get rid of gun control, get rid of gun rights with money, just imagine all your other rights. Just imagine. It's just, what's for sale?
Like all the Patreon bucks I get, which have been a lot, I go to like filing like lawsuits against FOIA requests and stuff like that, and all my writing money, it all goes back into everything. So if you want to become a Patreon, not you, but people out there want to become a Patreon, they can by going to patreon.com/John Crump, or they can do a one-time donation at paypal.me/JohnCC, and all that goes to like fighting the good battle. Yeah, I see ASO out there saying hi. Hello. Yeah, so it's a very interesting time to be living, especially with all like gun stuff going on and the whole coronavirus. A question that I posed to a couple of my other guests from the last few times, I'm going to propose to you. Like Rob Pink has answered this, Tony Simon answered this, so now it's your turn.
Okay.
Do you think governors are using the pandemic as an excuse to try to get rid of firearms a little bit?
Yes. Yes, I do. I really do. I think that they saw an opening. I'm not discrediting by any means the virus itself. I do believe it's real. I don't believe it's a hoax, as a lot of people think that, even though I don't believe in forcing someone to wear a mask, and I don't think that I personally need to wear a mask in many places. As I was saying, I keep my own distances, but when it comes to how this has all played out within society, people going through mass hysteria, just immediately just jumping to conclusions before we even got all of the facts. And the whole complying thing. And now, I mean, I believe that a lot of these gun grabbing politicians were like, well, you know what? They are, bending a knee now. We might as well just go ahead and take advantage of it, and let's see how far we can go with this. So, and I mean, and I think that a lot of people are actually waking up to that realization as well. I mean, especially people that have commented on Mom at Arms, who have spoke openly about it. They have even said, blatantly, like, oh gosh, I can't believe that I fell for it. There are several comments on our pages and social media pages and stuff like that. So, I'm not saying that, if I had seen a little bit more devastation, and I don't mean that in a sense of, to be insincere towards those who have passed, who have struggled with it. But if I had seen something that were more devastating in my own home area, if it were, and I'm considered, compared to the rest of Virginia, like you are in Northern Virginia, we're in the sticks. I mean, so it's kind of like, and we only have maybe like we just got our like less than a dozen cases. So
yeah, we have
I saw something pop up.
A couple thousand.
World 1984. That's right.
We have a couple thousand. So that kind of sucks.
That's sad, and that does hurt my feelings. It really does, and especially with, all these stories that you hear about, nursing homes and intensive care units and stuff like that. It's heartbreaking. But I also think about it along the lines of the several millions of people that have had to stay home and go without certain healthcare measures because we've put COVID-19 at the forefront. And I can understand wanting to get ahead of it, but it's just like it was the worst planning, full government planning, and this isn't like a anti-Trump or pro-Trump or pro-whatever concept, but it was our entire nation, our government leaders really dropped the ball. I mean, they really did on this whole thing. And that's my 100%. I believe that 100% when it comes down to how many people have died of this, that we could have done something differently rather than shut down a country. We could have gotten ahead of it when I believe. But as far as how things are now, like it's, all these people died and it's Trump's fault or it's such and such's fault. I don't know. I mean, you have to hold your local and state leaders accountable just as much as you have to hold your our president accountable, and because they had the power.
Well, the shutdown originally was supposed to be to give the hospitals time to
Oh yeah.
get ready for the onslaught. It was never meant to like wait out the virus, and somehow
Yeah.
it changed to let's wait it out, which is kind of crazy to me.
And that's so sad to me. I think back, I mean, I'm not a history major by any means, but I think back to the times when tuberculosis was very was like this when it was a pandemic of sorts, and they had specialized hospitals for these for the people going through this. I mean, they had like, you know, separate wings and stuff like that in their hospitals, and really, you know, organized things back then. And granted, technology and medicine was, you know, wasn't as effective as it is now, but when it comes down to how they organized to make, you know, they had tuberculosis hospitals. Why didn't we have COVID-19 hospitals? You know, I mean, they had them just like that. I mean, so I'm mind blown by all of it. And I think that's another reason why I didn't go into medicine because I would be too opinionated at the same time. I'm like, no, shut down this hospital and we're going to make it a COVID-19 one now. So, but I really do. I mean, I think that those, you know, nurses, doctors, everyone that has worked, I mean, I feel for them. And that's me coming from a medical family. I mean, just knowing that the hard work and the many hours that they've put into it, and some of them that have had to be told to go home and they don't have jobs. I mean, they're just like, I mean, it's just been the biggest confusion and cluster of a situation ever that it's going to be wild to tell my kid about it when he gets older.
Yeah.
Like, you live COVID.
Yeah, it is going to be that. Open up this picture really quick. Right here. This is a Spanish flu. They didn't stop baseball.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the crowd behind them, they all have masks on there. It's not exactly what we are doing now. Because we're not going to get rid of this virus until there's a vaccine, and we can't stay at home until there's a vaccine.
No, and I mean, the economy is already just completely, I mean, gone from being one of the best economies that, I mean, in my lifetime to actually watch people thrive and make money and support their families and come out of certain situations where, you know, they were dependent on the government, but now they're having to be redependent on the government. So it's just, I really honestly think that a lot of these extended circumstances as far as state lockdowns are to keep people dependent on the government. And I think that it's coming to fruition as far as many people that are making tons of money on unemployment and don't want to go back to work. So, I mean, the whole point was, I believe that these state leaders that are misusing and definitely taking advantage of this whole thing. And it's sad.
Yeah. But why would they want everyone dependent on the government? It's not like, oh yeah, that way, that's right. It does give them control of the people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's sad. They're using a health crisis. I mean, that's how, and that's what I try to explain to people when you think about gun control groups. They try to manipulate the vulnerabilities of people and their propaganda. And that's what propaganda, I mean, you as a journalist know this, but that's what propaganda is. It's a special form of advertising. And they pull on those heartstrings and they keep pulling until they find a weak spot, or, you know, like where, you know, the thread of that string starts to kind of crack a little bit and fray. So now this is where we are. I mean, they've used, you know, they went from using our law enforcement officers like sheriffs and everything like that for gun control against us. And now they're doing that with our medical folks. And I think it's just sad. I mean, it's really sad.
Yeah, M. Gabriel has a good point. He said the intent is to make people dependent on the government to keep the voter beholden. It is to do
That's
that,
exactly right.
and also you got to look at it this way. There's never been a time in history where there's been a great economy and the incumbent doesn't get reelected. So how do you fix that? You crash the economy.
Mhm. Yep. It's really, I mean, the only thing that gives me a little bit of hope is actually watching the stock market. I think that the stock, it's, and I'm not a stock market person. I mean, we played stocks for a while and then, it just got boring to me. But when it comes down to watching it through this Trump administration, and I respect him as a businessman, not only as the president of the United States, but he is a businessman. And watching that the numbers go up and, during lots of his actions throughout this whole thing has given me a little bit of hope in where we're going to go as far, when we come out of all of these lockdowns. So I'm being optimistic when I look at that. So.
All right. I didn't get to all my questions, but I got to a lot of them. But it is an hour, and I don't want to keep you up too late. So
Oh, you're great.
So anything else you want to put out there?
Right now I am building my DC project chapter up in here in Virginia, and I would love to have some ladies, pro 2A ladies. It doesn't matter which side of the aisle you're on, left wing, right down the middle, as long as you believe in preserving your freedoms as well as lovers of liberty. I would love to get to know you and work with you and with the Virginia DC project chapter.
Yeah, and also we're so close to DC that we have to. There have to be women out there. Actually, I know a lot. You should join the GOA group, and we have a Virginia group on Facebook. Join there. There's lots of women on there actually. Facebook.group/GOA-Virginia, and you'll be able to find tons of people. All right.
Oh, lovely.
And also, don't forget to plug your website.
Oh, Mom at Arms. That's my other baby. I'm a little modest about Mom at Arms. I have some great writers, some great contributors to Mom at Arms. We do a lot of work. We work really hard and almost around the clock. It's a never-ending thing to expose propaganda within the gun control world, and we are trying our best to do that and bring some truth to all of this as a grassroots movement and true volunteers. We are not we're not pros by any means, but we have done a lot of work to get to that level, and our articles and a lot of the stuff that we've helped do has proven, Mom at Arms we do good work, and I'm proud to say that. So, but I'm also modest about it because I didn't expect Mom at Arms to become this big. We're not huge, but
don't be modest about it. You have done a great job over there, and you have really, really stood up for gun rights, and that's what we need. And plus, I am wholeheartedly behind the DC project. I just want to thank you for coming on, and I definitely want to have you back. So anytime you want to come back on, just let me know, or I can reach out to you. Either way.
Thank you, John. It's been an honor. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, and you did great. I know you were kind of worried about.
I've been doing this. I can do
it. Yeah, you're great. You're great. All right. Thank you. That was Joel McDaniel of Mom at Arms and also the DC Project. Both awesome places. Check them both out. Links are in the description if you're watching on YouTube. Well, actually, almost everywhere. there's a couple places where it doesn't let you put a description, but everywhere where there's a description, it is below. Check all those people out. On Wednesday, I'll be on Hank Strange Show at 7 p.m. Eastern. Then on Thursday, we have Ghost Tactical on. Then Friday night will be Hank Strange. And then next week, the only guest I have confirmed right now is Eric from IraqBet 888. He will be on with us as well. And I want to ask him about his TV pilot that he filmed a long time ago that I saw like a couple years ago that I can't find online anymore. So check that out. If you want to support the show and all my work, I have some leaked ATF information coming out again. You can visit me at patreon.com/John Crump and donate there. Or I hate saying donate because it's not really a donate. Or, you can go to PayPal.me/JohnCC. We are not monetized on YouTube. I don't know when they're going to turn on my monetization again, since my last channel got demonetized and killed by YouTube. So maybe that's why. But I don't know. Also, 25% off your Gun Owners of America membership by going to gunowners.org/black-swan-media and you get 25% off. Well, that is it for tonight. Thank you so much for watching, and we will be back on Thursday. So see you then.